Morning all.
Morning.
Oh, splendid. Welcome to LDC and our session on the new standards check. What we're going to do is we're going to look at the practices and principles of coaching in the morning session. We'll have a break after that, about half an hour. Tea and biscuits. If you've brought food, you can eat it then. And then this afternoon we'll be looking at the standards check and how we're going to apply what we've done this morning. We'll run it like a workshop. We're in groups of three areas of the form, and then we'll all report back our ideas and steal each other's ideas. That's the thinking. So before we do anything, some housekeeping. I've put a map on each of the desks which shows you where the first aid points are and where the fire escapes are. I'll just run you through. It's very powerful. Talking to the sales guys will tell you that they're constantly being asked about this they want lessons with me. So we just tell them that, well, Bob does the induction training for all of our instructors. So you are generating an awful lot of ask your learners where they're coming from. You'll find that quite a few of them have seen the stuff on YouTube and are drawn to the LD system because of it. So what have you got on the desk in front of you? Coaching DVD. It's basically stuff that when we were researching videos and such that I found interesting, and hopefully some stuff that you can learn from. The presentation is on there, as are all the forms and such. You've got the DVSA notes for guidance. It tells you, this is the examiner's notes for guidance, so it tells you how they're going to mark you. We'll use those later on. The standards check, the examiner's mark sheet in front of you, the green one. And if you flip it over, it tells you what points you've got to score to get the grades. The coaching contract, which we'll come back to in a bit. This is setting the ground rules. You can see on one side of it, there's the terms and conditions. And on the other side, there's a coaching contract. What do you want from your people? What does your people want from you? I'll show you that section of video. That's very empowering. And you have copies of the slides. So you can follow the presentation through, make notes if you wish. You all got pens? Anybody need a pen? So, coaching. When did it all start? Some of you might know, some of you might not. 1974, Tim Galway, tennis coach. He wrote a book called The Inner Game of Tennis. It's available on Amazon and eBay. Pick it up for next to nothing. Certainly less than a £5. Worth a read. I'm going to tell you a lot about how it works. We did a lot of research into coaching and went along several paths, and we came back to this. It all kind of rings true. But this is the guy talking about, he's talking to the Association of Coaching about how it all worked and where it sort of started.
There was no books on coaching, there was no associations of coaching, there was no...
What do we think of that? That makes sense? What makes sense?
It's just surprising 1974 when he was thinking all the things, and now we're only coming around to thinking about doing it now.
John, you want that?
How successful was he? Was he getting any major stars at his coach?
I believe so. In the early part, if you type it into YouTube,
He's helped quite a few of
you'll
those.
see that he's
Quite a few.
yeah. And it's just interesting, isn't it, to think that, well, you're not the teacher, but you are, aren't you? All right.
Well, I can understand what he's saying and totally respect what he's saying. He said the words not running the show. Totally agree with that. We're not running the show. We do need to give guidance into, because I get pupils that are so ambitious and so want to do it tomorrow, want to pass their test next week. And I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute, we need guidance here. So in a way, there is a little bit of also interacting and also a little bit of running the show to a degree, but not a lot. We keep away from doing that. We let them run the show. But I mean, we're there to give a little bit of guidance. Just how would you agree or not?
Well, it's you're responsible for safety at the end of the day. Right?
Yeah.
So we'll come to that in a bit, because that's one of the things that we found, that you can't just let them do whatever they want. Because that's what coaching was said to be, wasn't it, in the early stages? You just let them do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And of course, one or two of our instructors experimented with that, and it went, unsurprisingly, badly wrong. And they were having to dance on a due break all the time. So it's, but you need to let experience be the teacher. How does that fit with what we do?
Watching that video, one of the interesting things that he said was the barriers to the individual learning. And I think that's the thing, it's the individual's lack of, I suppose you can say, confidence in themselves. And that's the big barrier to it. You know, he said on there that people are surprised at how much they do know and what they do know.
Yeah.
And it's getting that out of people, which is...
Well, it's difficult because they're conditioned to behave a certain way by life experience. And like you were saying before, Mick, some of them are great because they've probably been people who've been encouraged to think for themselves. Whereas others have perhaps been, you know, not maybe very academically good. The teacher asks them a question, they give an answer, and their mates all take the mickey. Well, next time I'm not going to give an answer. What do you think? I don't know. And the teacher moves on. So they've built a defence mechanism. So you start saying, well, what do you think? Oh. And they're reliving all that horrible experience from before. Oh, no, you just tell me. And you know, if you say to your pupils, I've got this new technique I want to try, and do you want to try it? No. You just do it. And they're not going to buy into it straight away. But, you know, they're each coming to you on a different journey. So our job is to work out what works for them. And the only way you're going to do that is by building a trust between them. Sorry, John.
No, I was going to say, I think the most important aspect of it is the very first lesson. Is you get them at the first lesson, and you give that trust over to them, and they take it, and they leave the car excited and want to come back again. I find that's a great method of doing it. It works perfectly.
Well, an awful lot of the stuff we're going to talk about today, you probably all do it to one level or another. But it's just, it's making us, it's a very small switch, but it's a big one to make. But let's have a look at how experience as the teacher. So we need to experience it, to be able to reflect on it, learn from it, because that's how we learn. And we all have that capability. We're pre-programmed, if you like, to learn in that way. And coaching is a delicate skill needing honesty and trust both ways. And the three skills were increasing non-judgmental awareness of what is, how it was, what just happened. How did that match up to the outcome we were expecting? And if it didn't match, what might we do differently to get the outcome we expected? Not how can we make it better, how can we make it, you know, whatever. And increasing the clarity of goal or choice by following their interest, what they want to do, what do you want to get better at, what do you want to feel better about. And inspiring self-trust. That's stuff that you'll be doing this stuff all the time. You know, we're just pointing out to the people that you did really well there, well done, that's excellent, well done, well done. And pull over and say, oh, just to say, well, this is great. I think this is not marvellous, what we do. How many of us pull over to say good things? Which show our hands? Excellent. Try it. See the difference it makes in your learners.
What's the expression on the face when you want to pull over?
There's a negative connotation straight away. Judgment. Oh, what have I done wrong now? Well, it's something I've started to say. That I think that sort of came onto by accident. Let's pull over and have a review. All right, that's non-threatening, isn't it? So let's have a little think about it. And then, yeah, all right. And that's not like that horrible sort of, oh, I'm going to tell it off here. So inspiring self-trust. So here to help another person get to where they want to in a fulfilling way and in an acceptable amount of time. More of this in a bit. Centre of activities on the students, throwing the leadership ball back. Where do you want to go now? What do you want to do next? How do you want to improve that? What do you want to work on? What do you want to feel better about? What do you want to do better? So the inner game, the conscious mind, that's where we make judgments, that kind of stuff. But it's got relatively limited capabilities. You can only hold so much information in there. And if you try and put too much in, or think about too much all at once, the circuit breaker pops. And all house and cars goes down. We reckon up to seven items of information. 7. It's not very many, is it? How many pieces of information does it take to grab a car? Go on, Paul.
Chimpanzee can hold 20.
Well, there you go.
In experiments, they found that chimpanzees outperformed in terms of being able to
I wonder how-
number of objects.
I wonder how much of that's related to them not having the power of speech.
Can't drive though, can they?
Well, if your life depended on remembering 70.
You
Coach them.
Maybe we'll try and teach him chimps next. I'm sure you've got one or two of those in your day.
So it was interesting that some primates have certain capabilities beyond our own.
What is it?
Because their part of the brain's been developed more for that particular focus. For some reason, there must be a reason. Their natural habitat requires them to be able to do that more so than we have. Obviously, we have other capabilities.
Indeed, indeed. Well, it is fascinating. The more you learn about this, the more you'll want to learn. So, we talked about this. How did we do it? When did we learn to do all this stuff? You know, it's at that early stage, your conscious mind isn't really fully developed yet because you haven't had that much experience. You haven't got things that you can draw on and bring to your conscious mind. And that can interfere with the way we learn. You know, all this walking and talking, they're staggeringly complicated things. And yet we learned ourselves, really. Or we taught ourselves. Yeah, we might have had bits of copying and listening and working out, but there's no lesson on it. There was no video to watch to learn to walk. So I started to play around with this. This stilling the mind thing. It's something that I do myself as a musician. I'm a competitive musician. I play under extreme pressure. And I find ways of coping with that when I've got extremely difficult things to do. And I think about something else. And I've always known this, I've never made the link. The video you're going to see, this girl was having torrid time with fast moving roundabouts. We just couldn't get it. She'd happily just push the clutch down and go over it in a straight line if I didn't intervene. Now there were other things at play, but it came to light because I asked her what she thought of the new workbook. She said you could do with a box in there and tick when you're terrified of something. What do you mean? Have you ever been terrified? Oh yeah. What is it that terrifies you? She said, no, roundabouts. I'm not keen on them. Why don't you like them? So I've got so many decisions to make all at the last minute. And it's just, I get confused, I panic. Right, okay, so, well, have a look. And I've tried it several times now and it amazes me that it works.
There's things we can perhaps do.
And,
Work out which is best for yourself. Not wrong with that, is it? But, we were told we're allowed to do that. And the first experiments with it were with Bobby George Turner. I left the office here, and the only real thing we decided we were going to do, Paul was no instruction. I'm not going to do that. And when I look back at it now, I can remember the conversation we had before I left. Sometimes just 5 minutes before the lesson. Let's try this. And it's just it made life really difficult. I think, well, this is rubbish. This coaching, it's rubbish. It's never going to work. But it's surprising. So that then ran on to the Hermes Project, which was the Europe. It was based on the work of Tim Galway and others like Jonathan Passmore and Sir John Whitmore. A high-impact approach for enhancing road safety through more effective communication skills. That's a real zippy title, isn't it? Just runs off the tongue. And it developed the GDE, the Goals for Driver Education. And it looks like this. And they maintain that what we do is take care of this stuff down here at the bottom left. Vehicle control and driving and traffic. That's what we teach learner drivers. That little box there. And we don't touch this other stuff. This self-assessment. It's getting people to evaluate what they've done and take responsibility for their actions. And this is we've chatted about this. We think this is some an academic's way of describing what it's all about. The whole process. This is what we're trying to teach. But then all the coaching types, the great and the good, have decided that it's all about this, and you have to get everything to work up in this top right-hand corner. And we think we've missed a trick. So they produced the Hermes report, which is on the DVD, if you want. It's only 200 pages, little light reading, printed out here at the Times.
Bedtime stuff.
And they produced a video to show what it's all about.
We have 5-star cars, we have 5-star roads. What we do not yet have is the 5-star driver.
Was everything okay?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. Let's go back to the driving school now, but we're really in a hurry now. I get really in trouble when I get too late. Maybe I should drive. No, you drive, but hurry up, okay?
Okay.
Hurry up and let's go. Come on. Let's go.
What are our thoughts on that?
It's a brave move.
Quick rush. This is why I believe the DSA have come away from coaching in this form, because they've looked at that and thought, I don't think so. So if that goes wrong, where does the lawsuit land? On whose doorstep? It's yours, isn't it? So in my opinion, that is a ridiculous thing to do. Now, we should be allowing them to learn from experience, and we should be setting experiences up for them to learn from. But this is borderline dangerous. You know, you're creating an emergency situation. I don't think that's really the right thing to do for a road safety professional.
Now I had to break for you, right? Let's go over there and let's talk about that.
The PlayStation, they're all over the place. So you can use that. So how do you think it's going to do? Oh, all over the place. Why do you think that is? I'm tired. So if you had a long journey to make today, how would that affect you today? Well, I suppose it may affect the driving. So if you had a long journey to make, I suppose I wouldn't stay up and play my PlayStation. Well, you've affected them. You know, so we've learned from that experience, but we've not set it up the way that they have there. So we think that's why the DSA kind of pulled away from this a little and went, well, hang on a minute. That's, not sure about that. But their definition in the report is that it's a learner-centered method that engages body, mind and emotions to develop inner and outer awareness and responsibility with an equal relationship between the learner and coach. What does that mean? What? So, they tell you you can't mix coaching and instruction. You know what we're talking about before? You can't do that. Interesting. And coaching aims to increase the responsibility and awareness of the learner to help him learn how to learn, even after the test. They've learned how to learn, if you like, how to reflect on things and work out what works and what doesn't. And instruction has the effect of lowering that level of responsibility and awareness in the learner, and the learning effect is minimal because the action didn't come from within them. It was just obeying rather than learning. So all these people that are selling coaching courses and writing coaching books for our industry are saying that, well, the stuff you guys do, that's rubbish, stop it, doesn't work, can't do that anymore, you've got to do it like this. Well, that creates difficulties for us, doesn't it, because we've learned to do it one way, and then we've got to what? Learn to do it the other way. Well, that's a bit silly, isn't it? That's almost as daft as changing the check test before changing the part 3. Nobody'd do that, would they? Nobody'd be that stupid. Oh, wait.
That's on video, Bob.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
YouTube tonight.
Yeah. Well, I can edit that tonight. That's why I paused before I said it, to create an edit point. So straight away, we could see that there were issues. What about our core competencies? You know, it was at loggerheads with our fault-orientated approach to things. Find the fault, fix the fault. That's how we got through to part 3, isn't it? And then that's how we operate following that. And surely, we know best. We get the learner to do stuff. That's nonsense. What do they know? They have to be told, don't they? And we wanted structure. You don't want to just have them do whatever they want. What if your learner turns up and says, well, I'm going to the motorway today? Well, A, you're not allowed, and B, you're not allowed to pull away yet. And safety, like the stop sign thing. Surely, the only way to be safe is to be in control. And we know that, don't we? When they get into unsafe territory, we take control. We take that back, and we keep ourselves safe. Do we throw that away now? Well, let them have the accident. Yeah, that'll teach you. I bet you've learned from that. Oh, hang on, my car. So, there were problems straight away. So we thought, well, is it compatible with what we do? Because the coaching model that they're applying was from the executive coaching world, where the person being coached was the expert. And the coach probably knew very little about the subject they were coaching. They were just helping that person to organise their thoughts and their feelings to get a different outcome. But in this instance, well, we know all that stuff. Can we keep the things that we do now that work really well? Because there's a lot of stuff we do that works brilliantly. Do we have to throw that out? Was it all or nothing? Did we have to make that big switch? And the big thing, is it going to be worth the hassle? Well, we had to look at it because it looked like the DSA might be bringing it in. We now know that they have. So it was a step into the unknown. So we started to meet up with the great and the good in the coaching world and read the literature and attend courses and do all that sort of stuff. But as we said, it was based primarily on executive coaching, which is a different thing really. And it alienated many instructors in the industry by misrepresenting what we do as instructors, by saying, well, you're just rubbish. You just tell people what to do, well, that's old hat. You can't do that anymore. And they used the GDE to show how little we do. You know, you're just rubbish, you just teach them these people here at the bottom. It's multi-sig, that's not good. Got to teach them to be thinkers, to learn for themselves. And they were a bit dogmatic really. And it was, you mustn't tell the coachee anything. You must make them find it for themselves. If you look on Glenn Walsh's channel, there's a girl on there who's applying this approach, and she does it extremely well. The guy will say, oh, I can't remember what this is called again. Now, she then says, well, what do you use it? Well, I use it when we can. What's in there? And she works on it. Well, why don't you just say, what's the handbrake? Oh, yeah. Well, that was rammed home to me. In the early days with Bobby Joe, there's a section of video that I edited out because it was a disaster. I might see if I can find it and put it back in there. We're going around the left-hand loop. And she's doing great. Again, we're still in the no instruction mode. And it was brilliant. We're approaching in a second, coming in, nice wide junction, straight in. Coming in a second time, somebody's coming. We stopped. We try and pull away in a second. Bang, we stall. So what do you think happened there? That made me clutch up a bit quick. That's what, we're in the wrong gear. It's the point. Oh, yeah, I should be first. Okay, where we go. And it's not improving. It's not getting better. She keeps making the same mistake. So, clutching at straws, I said, do you think it would help you if I was to talk you through it? She went, well, mate, never go if you like. So I tried that. Worked while I was talking her through it. Try it on your own. No good again. I'm going around, I'm just thinking, I don't know what to do. She's not going to get it on her own. I'm not allowed to instruct that, so I just thought, do you fancy a change of scenery? Yeah, turn right at the end this time. And off we went. And I thought, I'll come back to it later. And when I came to come back to it, it's fixed. Oh, I'll just not mention it. And it wasn't until eons later, she passed the test by this time, and I phoned her just to see how it was all going. I said, can you remember that time when we were going around the block where the shops are? Where you? She went, oh yeah. I said, what were you thinking at that time? She said, well, I knew you wanted something, but I just didn't know what it was. I said, oh, it's because we were stalling. Because you were slightly first, but you fixed it yourself. She went, oh yeah, so how did you? She went, I just asked your boyfriend. And he said, if I'm stopping, just use first. Oh. So a simple instruction would have fixed it. Like you were saying before. Try it with a handbrake now. There, how was that? You're back to coaching mode. Yeah, that worked better. Great, it's locked in there. We've clicked save on it in our head. So straight away we thought, well, hang on a minute. These people would have you believe that you can't do that. You're not allowed to give them no help at all. They must find everything for themselves. Well, that's all very well and good, but I suspect it's going to take you 14 years to teach somebody to learn to drive in that mode. Or maybe not that long. So the model being pushed seemed to, it ignored the stuff that we do that's really good. That, you know, we are facilitating learning to meet a specific standard, the driving test, which is externally assessed. So we are the experts in the field, and as such, we're a valuable resource that they can tap into. Oh, I forgot what that's called, handbrake. How much it is? Well, would you mind me offering a suggestion? Why don't you try this? And when they've done it, how did that work? Why can't they tap into that resource? Are you just supposed to sit there as a dummy? Apart from anything else, you come across as rude. Well, I'm not telling you. You're begging for what I'm paying you for. I know you're paying me to facilitate learning. And then, surprise, surprise, you see them in another instructor's car next week.
You charge the extra for the handbrake advice.
Absolutely. And we're working in a safety critical environment here, in 1.5 tons of moving metal. So you can't afford to be messing about with this stuff while you're on the move, because it's dangerous. So, and where the buck stops here, doesn't it? You know, if it all goes wrong, it's you that's going to end up in court. So we had to find a way to make it work in a safety critical environment. And this is why the DSA pulled away from it, because it's all about safety for the DSA. You look at the new ADI 1, it's emphasised in there that it's all about road safety, that's what the whole thing is. So because of this, it means we've got to walk before we can run. You can't have a go on a motorway before you go around and pull away and stop. You can't have a go across. So a coaching approach still has a lot to offer, you know, there's tons of it that's good, but it's about having an equal relationship, about having them develop trust in you, respect for one another, being honest, non-judgmental, and following the learner's interest as much as we can in terms of safety. And the learner taking ownership of that learning. And directing that learning process rather than being told what to do. But you'll say to them sometimes, what do you want to do today? I don't know. Why don't you just tell me? Why don't you just decide what we're going to do? You'll see with Bobby Joe in the early stages, I explained to her at the start, you can take control of this, you can decide what we're going to do. I don't want anything to do with that. No. My mate's learning to drive, and her instructor just tells her what to do, so I want her to do that. And so, yes, we did, but I always ask the question, so what do we want to do today? How about today? What do you think would be a good topic for next week's lesson? I don't know, can't you decide? And I just keep asking. You see, at lesson 10 or 11, she suddenly comes back in and says, I've been thinking about this. I'd like to do this, and this. And can we finish that early and come back and start practicing reversing on those roads at the bottom of my street? Ooh, okay, yeah, I've been thinking about this. And it was noticeable, from that point forward, our learning just went whack. She took control of the thing. So you're not going to get it to begin with. You're going, well, hang on a minute, I can't, but I want to take responsibility. If it goes wrong, you'll ridicule me, fire with it.
Did she take control because she got more confident in what she was doing?
I think it's a combination of a whole load of things. Right. So the relationship is absolutely, it's essential to effective adult learning. And it's all sorts of things. It might be even more than this. You've got to be supportive, patient, you've got to be a good listener, active listening, different thing. Not just waiting your turn to say something, but actually listening to what's being said and basing your next response on what's just been said. You've got to trust them, be respectful. You've got to be equals. Now there comes a point, isn't there, where you've got to use the dual brake. You're not equals anymore. It's gone from 50-50 to 100-0. And safety dictates that we'll start more of that in a bit. Non-judgmental. This is important. Humble. Before those you wish to help. So, secondly, taking ownership. We want them actively involved, so they own the process. This is Dale's cone of experience. The top bit of the triangle is in blue. That's passive learning, reading about stuff, hearing it, words, looking at pictures, watching a movie, watching a demonstration, or following a set of instructions. We tend to remember 10% of what we read, 20% of what we hear, 30% of what we see, 50% of what we see and hear. At the bottom here, it's much more powerful, participating in a discussion about it. You know, talking about ideas, perhaps them giving a talk on something, simulating the real experience, or actually doing the real experience, or taking on the role of the teacher, teaching somebody else to do it. Some of my guys have been experimenting with that. Okay, I'll get in the driver's seat, you teach me how to do this. And that's much more powerful because we remember it, because we're actively involved. So we want at all times to try and give them ownership. You know, some direct instruction, full talk through is here. Got to try and get them further on. As long as you're making the journey along that way, along that line, you're on the right track. So putting the learner in an active role and giving them ownership of the process is much more powerful. That's really important. So how can we get the best of both worlds here? Adopting coaching principles and practices, but at the same time, you know, as much as is humanly possible, getting them to make the learner more active and responsible for their own learning, getting them to make the decision. Now, you're going to meet resistance at first. You want to decide this? No. Just keep chipping away at it. What do you think might be a sensible option next week? What do you think the next follow-on lesson should be from this? What's the next logical step? And at the same time, training to a given standard, the test, and beyond, of course. Utilising the experience that we already have as an instructor, because we have expertise, we are a resource. But most importantly, make sure we keep everybody safe. Because that's important, isn't it? That's what we're there for, to keep our learners and everybody outside of our car safe. And to hope that the learners do the same when they leave us. So the coaching approach was all about the GDA matrix and having them self-evaluate. if you become bogged down in that, I think you kind of lose a trick. I believe what we need to do is to make good decision makers. And if they make good decisions, they're a good driver, aren't they? And if they learn to make decisions, they'll carry that on after the test. They'll decide on stuff, evaluate it for themselves, and learn from it. But it's not all about the GDA makers, it's about the way we get them to make those decisions. And they'll carry it on. It's very empowering. So, we developed the 3-hat approach. Coach, advisor, and guardian of safety. They're the 3 roles that we think you need to be able to do what we're doing here and stay safe, and utilise the expertise that we have. We're going to have some structure, not just chaos. Freedom within form. So we developed this, which is the insight page, as you're all aware. So not all of it, I mean, I've seen this before. So, how does that affect the equal relationship and ownership of the process, do you think? Are we up here or are we down there?
So it temporarily unbalances it?
It does. It does. And as long as it is just temporary, then it's all right, isn't it? As long as we revert back to the equal relationship at the earliest possible opportunity.
That comes down to what you do after you've dual braked or got off the steering wheel.
Absolutely.
What went wrong there?
Yeah.
Why did we do that? Why did I intervene? What
But it's
people
also
don't
about,
know,
yeah, absolutely. But it's, I mean, obviously we're preaching the converted here, but it's also about not being judgmental.
Yeah.
I've told you about this before. God almighty, you would have died if I hadn't done that. What the hell's wrong with you? Are you stupid? I taught your mother to drive, well, she was stupid. So it's really important that we try and avoid emotions or judgmental behaviour. But yeah, we use it as a learning trigger, don't we?
Well, you could ask, would we have died if I hadn't have intervened?
I'll use that.
And then you're not judging them, are you?
Which one of us would have died there? I mean, you, because I stabbed you.
Yeah, you and your still coming from.
But bear in mind that there's probably emotions raging inside of them. They're judging themselves, aren't they? God, again, why did I do that? So we've got to be really, I mean, almost apologetic about, I'm sorry I had to take action there, but you don't understand why I need to do that. So, well, yeah, because of the rule. So, but again, is it affecting the relationship? Well, it is a bit, isn't it? It is nudging us away from the top here. Maybe not as far down as the safety one did, but you are coming down, you know, rather than being right at the top here with equal relationship and ownership, because you've not damaged it to the same extent as you would do as with the safety one, but you are sort of taking a little bit of control away from them. But if it's used sparingly and offered in, you know, in the right spirit, but if you think they know what the answer is to the question I've asked you, just say, well, what do you think? And they might say, well, I don't know. Something to try. Just say, well, if you did know, what would you say? Has anybody tried that yet? How do you get on with that?
Good.
They do know, don't they? Yes, they do. Oh, right. They don't want to answer because they're scared they'll get it wrong, or that you're going to judge them, or you're going to laugh at them. Say what? What? Don't be an idiot. That's what they're scared of. So it's a technique they've learned in the classroom. Teacher asks a question. I don't know. Teacher moves on. And it's something I stole from my lad, who teaches troubled teens. Well, not anymore because he's in Norway now. They're all very well behaved then. And that's what they did to engage them. Yeah, but if he did know, what would you say? Oh God, he's not going to leave me alone. I better say something. And it's silence. What do you think? He's not going to give up. I'll have to say something. It's like earlier on this morning, I asked a question, and it was like dancing at weddings, wasn't it? Nobody wants to go first, so you all sat quiet. I just didn't follow else. The coach, building an equal relationship, facilitating learning, actively listening and seeking views, opinions, answers. What do you think about that? How do you think that went? Raising awareness to help students drive the learning process, pun intended. to help them to evaluate the outcome. How did that work? Recognise opportunities for improvement. Okay, should we do another lap around that block we've just done? What do you want to get out of this attempt? What do you want to get better at or feel better at? Or feel better about? And to allow the students to take responsibility for their own growth using the GROW model. More of that in a bit. And the natural learning model, Kolb's experiential learning cycle, in small, bite-sized chunks, logical steps. Well, obviously, if you're using the coaching hat, we're at the top here. So try and wear the hat as often as you can. Try it for size. And just start developing your coaching skills. It takes time. And I think it's a work in progress, a work in process. And I think that it's probably going to take, to get really good at it, as for a working instructor, probably a year to get really slick, I would have thought. So then, during the lesson, you might set another little grow.
Yeah, time for a quick review. How do you think that's going?
Better.
Okay. What
Just
made it
need-
better?
Smoother start off, a bit more control on turning sort of thing.
So what do you think you need to do on the next loop? What do you reckon?
Sort out my clutch and gas control.
Okay. How do you think you might do that?
Not do it so quick.
Okay. Right on. So as we're coming up the junction, as you say, as you're practicing and getting a little better, what would you do different? I mean, should we have another loop around? What do you want to do different with these ones?
Probably try to remember to go down to first.
Okay.
On some of them, obviously, 'cause some of you can take a second.
Well, that's right. So what do you think might help you with that on the final approach? Anything? Do you think anything?
Well, I don't put clutch down, I just kind of let it trundle until, and then I put clutch down and put it in first.
So all the time on that last little bit there, I was gagging to be in and say something because I'm thinking the circuit breaker's popped in her head. She's just zoned out again. Nothing's happening. She's just thinking. So just sit back and wait. But we're not used to silence as well. What we always told that we shouldn't have silence. That's bad. That's a bad thing. Unless you're preparing for a test. You should always be in. There's something going on. But sometimes they just need time to think, what do I want to do there? So we're using the LDC coaching cycle. We always called it the coaching cycle. And then that kind of went out of favour for some reason. So we started calling it the practice cycle. But we experience something, whatever it might be. They may decide what that experience is. You might set up that experience. You might decide in between. And this was the thing that finally, I think, the final piece of the jigsaw was when Galway had said, he's not worried about throwing tennis balls for people or firing them at them from different angles or different speeds. He's just interested in them having the experience and then reflect from it. So does it matter if he set that experience up? Not really. It's like you were saying earlier, Tim, try it with a handbrake this time. But how was that? What's wrong with that? The pure coaches are telling you shouldn't do that. Oh, no, that's a no-no. You're tarred and feathered and run you out of town for that. But what's wrong with that? We've experienced something. Let's reflect on it. We also had to find a way that was easy to implement, that you didn't have to just turn everything on its head, where you could gradually build these skills up, which is where the three-hat approach came from. And from a safety point of view, we obviously recognise that we're in a safety critical environment, but all these coachy types just didn't seem to care about that. Hang on a second. So what we want to do is experience small steps to enable the student as much independence as we possibly can and allow them to learn from it. With minimal interference, but we always have the safety hat as an override at any point. Ask questions to increase non-judgmental awareness. How was that? How was that in terms of meeting the outcome we wanted? Was that good? Was it bad? No. Did that meet the outcome we were after? Not quite. What might we do different next time? Evaluate. Again, non-judgmental. Any difference from the outcome they were looking for? And then grow, ask questions to increase the clarity of goal. So on our next attempt, what are we going to look for this time? What do we want out of it? We've got a couple of, it works really well. The first place to start practicing, of course, is manoeuvres, because it's easy to control what's going on around you. But you can do it on the move. And I think with the next manoeuvre, as an experiment again, the next time I teach a manoeuvre, I'm just going to say, I want you to just have a few minutes to collect your thoughts about how you're going to do it, what you're going to do, and then when you're ready, we'll have a go. And not interfere at all. But on this one, I can't remember which ones it is. I think the first one's a junction. The second one's Bobby Joe Turner again, I think. So this is the first attempt at a junction. No traditional brief.
I'm going to take the second turning on the left. This one's the first. Good.
I just want to slow.
So what's the first thing we do?
It is.
Yep.
Control.
Yep. Come on.
Position.
Yep. Is this the right speed, do you think?
I think I can take this in a second.
Yeah. You're absolutely right, well done. Cool. And then just make sure nobody's followed the end of the road.
I did.
Okay,
Cool.
So it's all she'd done at that point was watch me do it. And I just talked her through what I was doing. I think I can do this one in a second. So monkey see, monkey do. And then
You have no formal brief, no brief use present or anything, just plodded on.
we talked about what the dangers might be.
Right.
But then I said, do you want to have a go? Yeah, I'll have a go. And then I think this was the one where it really hit home to me with Bobby Joe that this was massively powerful because she makes loads of decisions on her own.
Okay. So the drive between the turn and the road in here, how would you rate that one?
Good apart from that little bit, but I think that's just a general mistake.
Either here or there, is it? Nobody died.
No. Someone I went down just because I put it in reverse.
But you spotted it straight away.
Yeah.
And fixed it. So that it's not necessarily the mistake you make, it's what you do with it.
Yeah.
You know, did you panic?
No, I thought I was fine.
Did you keep control of everything?
Yeah.
Did you sort it out?
Yeah.
Did I help?
No.
So that little exchange there is inspiring self-trust. Oh, you don't. You're not the only bit. Did you sort it? Did you fix it? Did anybody die? Anybody cry yet? And they realise for themselves, hang on a minute, I do know what I'm doing.
Your driver. So, this is the last piece of the jigsaw. Is that a bit exciting?
Yeah. Well, it is, but it ain't because I just need to get that further.
That's all right. You'll get it.
It's
just
doing everybody's head in now, they said.
Just be careful not to put too much pressure on yourself. You'll get it when you get it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
sad,
fingers
hopefully.
crossed.
So, anything we've done that might help us with this?
Reversing around the car.
Yeah. Anything else?
That what I've just done.
Yeah.
I forgot what it's called.
So turning the road or 3.10.
Turn, yeah.
It's all close quarters, control speed,
Yeah.
and you're judged the same way, and we've got to think about the same things: location, accuracy, observation. So, again, if somebody comes along, what we're going to do?
Just stop.
Yeah.
See what they're going to do.
So how do you think you? So if I ask you to park, we're going to pull up alongside that one and park back in here. What are you going to do?
Stop
Mm-hmm.
at level with it. I'll
Okay.
try and get close as possible, and then
How far away from the car will you be?
about I don't know.
Okay, try that.
Some a decent space,
Okay,
so you can make sure you can get your car out.
okay. And then what are you going to do?
And then turn it around, get straight, and try and get as straight as possible.
Okay. Lots of options. Do you want to talk about it some more, or do you want to just have a go?
Just have a go.
Let's do that then. Look like you mean business.
I just want to hurry up and get it all over and done with now. Do you think I would come?
Don't you just go in front and...
What, has he got room to get through?
Oh, okay. Right.
He did his hand.
Yeah.
A little bit slower. That's it. What do you think you're doing here?
Oh.
Okay. Just stop there.
Stop. Oh. I'm getting good at my parking. Dave, do you know how my car was parked? I parked it like that.
Well done, yeah.
Only because Ryan was helping me.
So how would you rate that?
Good, I think I'm close to the curb there.
I think you're right too. Put it in the middle. Take your mirror down a bit with it. And then have a look.
That one. It work.
Press it down to the left again. That's it. Pretty snug, isn't it?
Can't even see it and the curb. Are you meant to?
That's because you're very close to it.
Really close.
No, you don't need to be that close.
No.
So you can leave yourself a bit of a leeway. What made that successful?
Because I took my time and there was no one waiting to rush me beeping around.
Well, to be honest, you know, my take on that would be I wouldn't be bothered if I was, because you dealt with it on the turn of the road. Didn't faze you anymore. Nothing seems to faze you these days.
No.
Which is good.
I'm after
So, if you're marking that 1 to 10, where 1 was rubbish and 10 was brill,
10. So that's closer than I've ever got to a curb and not scrape the curb.
well, I'll tell
Or
you.
did I scrape?
No.
No.
I'll tell you now, I couldn't do that any better.
Can I have a look?
Was it good? Get that.
Oh yeah, I'm like him, aren't I?
Yeah.
Bloody
So,
hell.
we've got to, ideally, on test, you don't want to be that close.
Right.
Because you need to leave yourself a little bit of margin for error. What do you think's made you come like that?
Well, I'm mainly looking at that.
We also looked at the front as well. Looked
Yeah.
a bit.
Just because of him. I think it's because of
You
him.
lined up exactly like him.
Yeah.
So before you start next time, what might you be able to do?
Look how I am with them.
Absolutely. And you don't want to be quite as tight in as him, so
No.
that'll give you a guide.
No.
And there's a phrase you used a little while ago when I was asking you how you're going to measure something. You went, should I just judge it? Yeah, pretty much. That's a bit exciting, isn't it? That's the full set. That's everything that you need to do. So you can now do everything. What we need to do is to just build consistency.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. Have we done that bit where the self-driving thing?
There's a few times now where, well, actually, funny you should say that because I was just going to bring that up. There's a few times where I've said you just follow the road, such and such. But how would it be? Do you think you could manage if I said you drive yourself home? Do you think you could do that? Or would you like to try doing that?
I'll have a go.
Okay, if you get stuck, just ask.
Okay.
So, thoughts? Observations?
Do the DSA expect you to do a brief, or is it perfectly okay just to say to somebody, "Well, have a go"?
Why not? What they're looking for is learning to take place. So, how was their observation on that, do you think?
That was really good question.
That's the only
It's
downside.
rubbish, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Rubbish.
But you didn't mention it.
No, I chose not to mention it.
Okay. So my question wasn't.
How's that going to go down on check test?
No, that wasn't going to be
That's the
the
question I asked the DSA.
Yeah, no. My question was, what did you do next, or what did you do then, after that, to bring that up?
Nothing. Because she put it right herself.
All right, okay.
It's something I agonised all the way through. If you look on the forum, you'll see I've written notes as these lessons were happening. I was like, she wouldn't check a blind spot. And I'm thinking, traditionally, she's going to develop bad habits, which is good. She just puts it right herself. She learns that she needs to do it. On this, she focuses on looking around on the next time she does it, because she needed to. There was somebody coming.
I find that a lot of women who know the first time they'll concentrate so hard on where they're putting the car that demonstrations do get forgotten. So and then next time they start doing it.
I asked the question of Trevor Outram, so how will it be if on something like that and they're not doing it when we're in the safety car? So it helps you to evaluate how it's going for you. This is very, very empowering for the learner.
That's a cold wind, isn't it? Oh, took me caught off. I should have maybe left it on.
How are you today?
Fine and dandy, better than last week. Less full of snot anyway. So I suppose that's progress.
I know my cough's clear and
So have you done your reflection?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Getting proper detailed thoughts now, aren't we? Excellent. So I've decided to go down the maneuver route. Cool. Back to skills. Yeah. Complex situations. You like to build on your skills of reversing and getting used to the gear and also different gradients. Okay. You enjoyed the freedom as we worked on your basic junctions. You did, however, panic at one point and stalled the car when setting off uphill.
But I'll let you have these that can help you to perhaps develop your coaching skills. Take one, pass one on. So it can help you to kind of develop your skills. There you go, chaps. So it's not too big a change, it's just kind of packaging things a different way. So the whole process is the three hats and the freedom within form. Trying to build a relationship of equals and trying to get them to take ownership of the whole process. You can get that working, jobs are good. Any questions before we break for lunch? What's that, apathy or a job well done?
Job well done.
Liar, pants on fire. So we'll break for about 30 minutes, so we come back at 1:30.